That's right, it's time for some more Business B.E.A.R podcast. Folks, it's your host Connor Norman here, your favorite economic developer and radio host with the most, here to talk to you more about our local businesses here in Garrett County. Today, we've got some exciting guests from Solnet. They're going to talk to us all about their web design services, advertising, and so much more. Our guests, Russ and Jess Dijak. Before we learn all about them, though, I think it's important we go over a few housekeeping items. Remember, the Business B.E.A.R podcast is free and available to any Garrett County businesses. So if you're interested, please call me. Let's get you signed up. You can email me at cnorman@garrettcounty.org. That's cnorman@garrettcounty.org. I would love to talk to you and get you signed up. All right, folks, just remember that any views expressed by the host or the guests are their own and do not reflect the opinions of Garrett County government or Garrett County business development. So let's kick it off. Again, the owners of Solnet, it's Russ and Jess Dijak. How you guys doing today?
We're good. I'm a little nervous.
I'm not nervous.
There's no need to be nervous, Jess. Trust me, you're just talking to me. If anything, anyone listening to this podcast knows I'm the dumb one here, so we'll start with that. But how's today going?
Good.
It's a
Well,
Friday.
It's so nice to meet you for the first time, Connor.
Oh, that's right.
I've been wondering who you are all this time.
How do you pronounce your name again?
See, it's Connor, like Cawkner.
No, Connor is a good friend of ours, so we're excited to be here, and we're already finding it hard to be serious. So before the mics turned on, we were joking around a lot. So we'll try to stick to the business stuff. Yeah, when the three of us get together, we get pretty immature.
Exactly. Well, spoiler alert, I was going to reveal that I knew you guys later in the podcast, but
oh, sorry.
It's fine.
We ruined the mystery.
He can cut that and move it to the end.
Yeah. What I'll do is just move it to the end, and then people can get that nice tidbit there. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for coming in. I know it's a busy schedule for you guys, and you are out there moving and grooving, but this is a fantastic podcast where we get to share what you guys are all about. We're going to spend the next 30 minutes talking all about Solnet. But before we jump into the business, before we jump into your day-to-day, let's hear a little bit about you guys. Russ, Jess, who wants to go first? Tell me about yourself.
Jess will go first. She's way better at this.
Jess.
She says she's nervous, but she always comes through in flying colors. I do not.
Man. Okay, so Russ and I are a husband and wife team. We've been running Solnet for 20 years, so we are life partners and business partners, which can be tricky for some.
And it's very blended, so when you say tell us about ourselves, that is ourselves.
Yeah, our business is our life, so I'll try to separate the two, but we are parents of 4, so we have 2 adult kids and 2 teenagers who are really keeping us on our toes, and we actually are grandparents of 2 as well. So we got a lot going on in the family department. We got a bunch of pets at home as well, and am I missing any of the highlights about us personally?
Well, we're
Anything
just
else interesting?
trying to keep on the lake as much as we can, but the kids don't allow that, honestly. I mean, we're literally driving everywhere with these kids.
Yeah.
We're like personal Ubers now.
Yeah, lots of driving. I think that's it. Surviving teenagers and running a business pretty much sums up our day.
We're just
life.
Working so much. I think we draw a blank on personally who we are now. So it just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. Sorry. So we basically were here to say we have no life.
That's okay, but we're going to circle back into how that
it'll come out eventually.
Fits into your product, your business, and how you guys are doing that. So tell me, you guys aren't originally from Garrett County. Where are you out of?
So we moved here a little over 5 years ago from Baltimore County, a town called Reisterstown.
Okay.
We actually started. It's going to keep coming back to Solnet, of course. We actually started down in Baltimore City. I lived in Canton. Jess lived in Federal Hill. And we met down in the city. We actually had the business on Canton Square. But
okay.
That's where it was more personal because having a business on Canton Square isn't real efficient. So we had our our business like right next to Mama's on the Half Shell. So you can kind of get what I'm saying there.
Yeah.
So miraculously we made it. We still made it 20 years successfully in business.
We made it through all that.
Early party days.
Then we moved out to the outer edges of Baltimore County for a while before coming to the lake. So yeah, we are Baltimore originals coming out here.
So what initially brings you to the lake? Why Garrett County?
The kids. our first focus was the schooling and everything in Baltimore. We weren't real jazzed about that. Our kids were about to enter middle school, so we had already bought a second home here at the lake.
Okay.
And that didn't last long. What, 6 months?
Yeah, our plan was to come every weekend and then spend the summers here because Solnet was already at the point where we could do it anywhere. We have a lot of clients still in Baltimore and DC, but we're able to retain everybody and do the business anywhere. So
we planned working remotely from the beginning. So like she said, we have 4 kids, 2 are older, 2 are teens. The older kids, when they were graduating, we knew we wouldn't be locked down to that area anymore. So we pretty much put a plan. It was more than 5 years, I think, that we put a plan in place that, because Solnet actually began as an IT company.
Okay.
We weren't doing web when we first started. We quickly got into it, but we began as an IT company. And so then the plan evolved into, when the kids graduate, we're going to be fully remote so that we don't have to stay anywhere particular. So it was a long-standing plan. And I mean, there's a lot of details in there where we were actually looking at like the Adirondacks before Deep Creek Lake. And I had been coming to Deep Creek Lake, I think since 2005 or 2006, I think it was. So, I was here all the time. I was here every single year, coming up with the kids, camping, all that fun stuff. Jess hadn't been here yet. And then when we finally made the move up here, the day that we came up and the first time she ever saw the lake was the day we bought our house.
Put an offer
on our house.
Oh, nice.
Shout out to
So yeah, I mean, it was a quick,
Yeah, I mean,
it was
itself.
a really quick transition.
Yeah. We bought this, what was a hideous little stone cottage that looked like a 70s special.
Frat
I mean,
house.
oh my gosh. But Russ is really handy and I am very good at interior design, and so we knew we could handle it. So we've really transformed the house that was supposed to be a second home, and we turned it into a full-time home. And a lot of the reason, we started coming every weekend, and then another shout out to Angie and Danny Bosley, our neighbors who
They were
became
amazing.
family quickly, really took us under their wing, introduced us to everybody, and just showed us what an amazing community this is. And we fell in love with it and realized we could easily live here. So we made that transition. As soon as the girls got out of school that spring, we were here full time.
Yeah.
I think that's true for this community. One of the first things that fetches you is, wow, it's beautiful around here. Fantastic lake, beautiful mountains. And then the people really draw you in, once you get a taste of that community. But you guys have been fantastic additions. I will say every time I pass your house, which, listen, we're friends. I haven't been inside yet. We're going to fix that.
Oh, I know, that's crazy.
What's he trying to say?
I know.
We're always
I
doing
pass
a
it.
project.
I pass it and tell you what, you guys have a beautiful house, definitely.
You're right up the street.
Yeah, we're in the same neck of the woods.
Yeah.
For sure.
Literally.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk to me a little bit about the inspiration for going to business for yourself. 20 years Solnet's been around. You started in IT. Tell me about the transition into going from IT to like web design and stuff like that.
That's a convoluted answer too. So
Let's hear it.
Solnet was not the first company.
Okay.
I actually started my first business in '91. I started a small ad agency with a high school friend, and did that for about 5 years. And we did. It's funny, we did it in Franklin County, Pennsylvania, so not too far from here. I lived and grew up in Columbia, Maryland, and that's where we started the ad agency, but then we got some really big customers up in Pennsylvania, and we actually uprooted, moved up there, got a house. We were doing radio spots, TV spots, all kinds of stuff for banks, hospitals. It was really fun. So I ended up selling my half of the business to him and moving back to Baltimore. And I won't get into those details, but there were a lot of reasons for that. I just had to move on. So then when I got back down into the Baltimore region, I ended up getting into publishing. So
Okay.
it was a place in Baltimore called Monotype, and it was a K through 12 publishing house where we designed and composed is the proper word, textbooks. So when I got there, it was very college heavy. They did a lot of college textbooks, but there wasn't a ton of money in it. We got a new sales staff, and they really started hammering the K through 12 market. That went really well. So there were a couple of us that had come on board like within a year or two, and we built that company up really big. We tripled their sales in about 5 years.
Wow.
So that worked really well, so well that somebody decided to buy it. And that's actually where I met Jess. Jess worked there too. So she ended up working at that company as well and doing composition, book composition and design, where we learned, tons of Mac skills and design skills. In those days, it was Quark Express and PageMaker. Everything now is InDesign. So it was all the old school products. And then from there, I got into IT because at that company, after managing the design staff that would build the books. Wow. Did you hear that? Did you hear that gulp?
Oh, yeah.
Huge. I saw the VU like shoot off the chart.
Okay, so
I can hear like hair growing on our
if
heads.
that gulp doesn't get edited out, that's just one of the quirks of working with your spouse. I was trying to quietly take a sip of coffee.
Leaving that all in.
Yeah.
By the way. Leaving it all in.
Just leave it. So, yeah, I was managing the staff there, mostly night shift, which I loved. I loved working night shift. So quiet, you could get everything done. Nobody bothers you. It's fantastic. So they had a lot of turnover in their IT department. One of the guys that was there forever that built like their Unix system. I actually still to this day don't even know what truly happened, but he left. And he kind of like came and went once in a while, and he was just really not reliable. So I took it upon myself to learn Unix. And this is when Linux was coming out. So I learned Unix and Linux, and I started rebuilding their systems. So in publishing, you have systems that are so large that you need, just the data needs for a company like that are like tremendous. So like we were being serviced by a company called AGFA out of New York, which is AGFA Films. A lot of people know what that is. They would come every year and sell them a new system. And it was outrageous. It's like, just the drive space was like $500,000. So it was like these racks, like you'd see old times, racks of drives and systems and servers and such. And so I would just kind of pay attention to these guys and learn what they do. And then I started building some systems in Linux, which is a separate system that's a competitor kind of to Unix that was really big in the 90s. So I learned how to make these $500 million systems for about $30,000. So
Now, are you just self-teaching yourself this stuff?
Yeah. So I would go. So I'd be at night building like, composition house, composing these books, building these books. They're 600, 700 page math books, psychology books, history books, stuff like that. So I'd be at night building these books and getting them done so fast that I'd have time to go down to Barnes & Noble in the city down in Canton, and I would just buy books. So I taught myself how to do this stuff, rebuilt their systems. They kind of didn't believe me at first. So then I just set one up in parallel and just started shifting all the work over to it, and they didn't know it.
I barely believe you when I'm listening.
Right. So I shifted all the files over to the new system slowly. It was me and one other guy that were doing, like I got him on board with it. And we just, because it was faster and we just had to get the work done. So, we were going to do what we had to do to get the work done. So we just started using the new system, and then we let management know, hey, we've actually been using the new system for the past month or two. So I showed them all that stuff. They let the other guys go. I became the IT guy. So after a few years of doing that, the 2000s correction kind of came, the IT bubble, so to say, happened. And then, all the IT people are losing their jobs. Nobody's keeping people on. This is around 1999. Nobody's keeping their IT staff on full time anymore. So that's when I decided, hey, I'm going to just start doing part-time IT for everybody. Nobody was doing outsourced IT at that point. Nobody was doing that. So
Wow.
I actually went to try and, because I hated it there. I started hating it after like 6-7 years.
Oh, it was
It was unbearable. It was unbearable. So
Wow.
I'm working there, hating, like many people do, hating life and your job, because I just didn't know, I had finished my business with my friend. I took on this as like something to do. It ended up me being there way longer than I expected. And then from there, I just kind of decided, hey, I'm gonna go find something else, and I couldn't find a job. So, like, I was putting resumes out, and I just wasn't finding anything I liked, and I was like, I'm just gonna break out on my own. So they actually became my first customer because I went into management and said, hey, I'm giving my 2 weeks notice, and they were like, well, where are you going? We'll match it, we'll beat it. And I was like, well, that's the thing, like, I hate it here so much. I don't have anything lined up. And so they were like, well, name your price. Can you just come in and do this a couple days a week? And so we just kind of struck a deal on that. And then I started the company over a weekend.
Wow.
So that's how Solnet was born, technically. And a lot of other crazy stuff was going on in my life.
Well, and kind of to answer your question, to butt in here from that very
here we
long
go.
explanation.
He'll cut it out.
How do we evolve from IT to web? I think that's something that we've been really strong at is evolving with ever-changing technology. I mean, in order to survive in tech, and you have to evolve with where it's going. So, we started out, Russ started out IT. I started out very graphic design based. And when web started becoming very big, we evolved into that. And now we see it happening again with AI, and we're evolving with that. So we have to stay current with evolving technology so that we can better inform our clients and learn everything as it changes.
It's hard to put in a linear path, but yes,
Yeah,
I'd be
gotcha.
long-winded.
Stuff to
It was a
hear.
fun time. It was good. I mean, it was an exciting time.
I always say I've never seen Russ not be able to figure something out. And I always point that out to our kids too. And he hates when I brag about him, but his mind works unlike anybody else I've seen, but there's nothing he can't figure out. Literally, like plumbing, electric, computers, all of it. He's giving me the signal to stop talking. But yeah,
That's okay.
he really does figure things out, everything.
I'm secretly building rockets, when I'm not running podcasts or something.
I can help you with that.
We can come help.
Oh, good. Well, you're just up the street, so that's fine. Let's fast forward. You get into Solnet. You decide you're in Garrett County. Let's go over what you're offering here. Tell me all about Solnet and the services you guys have.
All right, so I'm going to take this one. Solnet is a web development and marketing agency. And what that means is we offer full service website management, design, as well as marketing services. So depending on what our clients need, we can handle everything from building a new website. If you happen to already have a great website, we can work with that. Monthly website management is really important and encouraged. Your website should be adding new content regularly. And we offer monthly marketing contracts. And based on what our clients need, we'll design billboards, business cards, printable materials, pay-per-click campaigns on Google, and just monthly digital marketing. So SEO services, which means search engine optimization. So we make sure that your website is built in a very SEO friendly way so that when someone who is looking for your services and typing that into Google, the likelihood that your website will be found is much higher. So we're Google partners. We're certified we are Google partners.
So why is that important? Why is search engine optimization important for a company to make sure they have?
So a lot of customers come to us and they say somebody has done their SEO, their search engine optimization.
Oh,
it's even a
yeah.
mouthful for me.
Yeah.
And then we scan their site and we find out nothing's been done.
Oh,
It's like,
wow.
And a lot
like
of these-
literally
A
nothing's
lot of
been
these
done.
clients
Yeah.
are paying for
And they're paying
monthly
big money.
SEO
Yeah.
services and for companies that are doing nothing for them.
Yeah. So what that means in a nutshell, we're tagging your site, we're editing your site, whether it's technical or the front end, just literally the verbiage on the site half the time is key to being found. So we make these edits to people's sites, but you don't do it once. You have to keep doing it. You have to keep up because Google's constantly changing their algorithms and they're constantly making. So a site that was ranking amazing last week, Google can make an edit and like your traffic will drop next month.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're not on top of that and you're not checking the analytics and you're not checking, your traffic stats, you won't know that that's happened and your phone stops ringing and you're like, why? Why did this happen to me?
So you guys are more than just a website. You're all of the elements that go into making that website successful and those online ad campaigns successful. So you're building the websites, you're building the ad campaigns, but you're making sure that they're effective.
Correct.
So that you're not just throwing away money, you're actually seeing an output for your input.
Yeah,
Correct.
and we share that with our clients. So we always like to say we're very data driven. So
We're mostly data driven.
Yeah, we have the analytics. We review them frequently with our clients. Our clients who do monthly campaigns with us, we like to see them in our office once a month, and we review the data. And then we brainstorm and discuss the monthly marketing plan of what we're doing each month for them. We also offer social media management, weekly or monthly blog writing services as well. So it's really based on what our clients want or need. And sometimes, like I said, it'll just be someone saying, well, I need a billboard and I really am not creative. Can you do the billboard for me? So we'll handle any aspect of the marketing so that it's really a holistic approach to brand management.
So what kind of clients do you work with? Do you work with people fresh, they don't have anything, or just people that have a website currently?
Yeah, lately we've been getting a lot of fresh ones. It used to be, so it changes over time. Typically, people will come to us and they've already got a website and the design may be fantastic, but like I said, once we drill into the details of it,
It's not
we
working
find
for
out
them.
we find out that the foundation isn't so hot. And so it's not a huge problem. It's just we have to fix that and we have to, we don't have to redo anything. We have to do something. So a lot of people are afraid to kind of dive into that because they think they got to throw what they have away, and that's not the case. You just have to add on to it.
Yeah.
So we can usually work with, almost all the time, we can work with what they have and we can build upon what they have and get that phone ringing again. So whether like some of our industries that we focus on are like events, e-commerce, stuff like that, where people need that constant traffic. Mom and pop shops are, we get those once in a while, but
So we represent a lot of local businesses. We have small businesses, which we love, and we also have a couple of really large local clients. And I would say our large local clients actually already had their websites built. So they did not need a fresh design on that. However, their websites just were not working for them.
Okay.
And there really was no data or tracking prior to us getting our hands on it.
so they didn't know what their traffic was. They don't know their stats. They don't have the information. And you can if you throw a website up and your phone starts ringing, then you're fine. You don't need that. Your phone's ringing, people are walking through the door. You're getting business. But if you're not getting that, you have no tools to know why. You don't understand, why is my site not working? And a lot of people make the mistake of, they think if they just throw a website up, business will come. And that's just not the case.
Right.
You've got to put something behind
Yeah.
it. You've got to get out
And
there.
what we found is, not to toot our own horns of why digital marketing is so great, but honestly, it really works. I mean, when we start marketing for a business, they start getting calls every time. It's really effective. It's a really effective way to spend your advertising dollars.
Well, and I think that's important too. The landscape is changing. You mentioned that a little earlier when we were talking. word of mouth is not as effective all the time. Sometimes it's good to pump the advertising, the attention where people are, going after the platforms where they are. And it's online. It very much is.
Well, the word of mouth actually seals the deal, but you got to get out there first.
There
So
you
if
go.
you get out there and you get that conversation going, there really is nothing better than a referral, honestly. So, but if you get your ads out there and you get yourself noted and you get people asking, should I go to so and so? And then that referral comes through and says, oh yeah, I use them. They're great. Boom, done, sold. That you've closed the deal.
Now, you mentioned a little bit about AI. Speaking of changing landscapes, how are you guys utilizing that in digital marketing?
So we've been using AI for about a year now. We were actually using it before it got hot, and because obviously we're seeing this stuff come
Got
through.
AI hipsters.
Yeah, we're hipsters on it. But now it comes in your email, and you're like, oh, you're wondering when it comes through. You're wondering, is this another fad? Is this another, And I mean, we started using it, and within a week we saw the power. Like we were like, wow, this is a game changer. So a lot of people are afraid that like this is gonna replace my job, or like this is a tool. Just like, again, going back in the early 90s when I started doing ads and ad agency stuff, people were using light tables back then. They were using pen and paper and drawing, and like, you need to stay away from this Illustrator. It's going to destroy people's job. It's the same thing. It's another
don't be scared
tool.
of technology.
It's just a
your
tool.
benefit.
It's just a tool. So, everybody should be using AI, honestly, in their jobs. It can help you craft better contracts, craft better emails. For us, it helps us especially break like gridlock in writing. Like if you have a writing block and you're just like, I don't even know where to start, it helps you throw something at the page and kind of gets those juices flowing. So when you're using AI, it will take you down a path that you didn't think of and just get you excited about it. And then you can start really writing some good stuff. But it never removes the human content. It really doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I find that if I'm struggling to make a paragraph sound correct or natural, sometimes I'll just write the paragraph and then plop it into AI and say, write this more professionally. And
then you won't like it, and then you'll say, no, do it again.
Yeah, but it helps you get your thoughts on the page, and then it tweaks it for you so that you're not stuck sitting there for an hour, with that writer's block of, I'm really struggling with this paragraph. So it helps with that. So
instead of digging a hole with a shovel, it's a backhoe. So
very nice, and I like the analogy too. You guys are very involved in our community. There's a lot Solnet kind of has going on outside of the world of just business. Tell us a little bit about how you guys are invested in a company in the community.
So, we love being really involved in our local community. It's what we love about living here. I am a diplomat with the Chamber of Commerce. So is Connor. Connor and I have kind of been head to head. So he is the current reigning Diplomat of the Year, and we had a really good laugh about that because when we walked in and I sat down in the seat that I always sit in when I visit Connor's office, the plaque is right here, like right in my face. So
what?
Before Connor
don't know
walked
how they
in,
got there.
Russ and I discussed hiding the plaque or stealing it. Anyway, so joining the Diplomats really got me started in getting locally connected. And then as we started to acquire so many local clients, it's just impossible not to get so involved in this community. Everybody looks out for each other. Everybody wants to work together. You call people, they say yes. And so we love making connections for our clients. So we always are connecting them together. But currently, some events that we have coming up that we're involved in. One is the Big Funky Blues Fest, and that is being hosted by OMG Relax. And you guys had a podcast about that, so I recommend everybody go back and listen to that podcast.
And if you haven't gotten your tickets, do it now.
Yeah, so
Thank you. I don't even have to sell it. You guys are doing perfect.
Yeah.
Get your tickets
and
today.
You can get those tickets.
It's going to be a blast.
On BigFunkyBluesFest.com, a gorgeous website made by us. And Chris and Randy are also really good friends. A portion of each ticket sale will be benefiting Camp Caring, which is a new nonprofit that I am a member of the board of directors on. And
Started by Kaylin.
yeah, it was started by Kaylin Paw. And Russ and I worked really closely with her this past year in developing this nonprofit. And it is a summer camp for children with significant physical and cognitive disabilities. So a portion of each ticket sale will be benefiting Camp Caring, and that is really what has us personally vested in the Big Funky Blues Fest. So that's one event, and then the other event that Solnet is really involved in is the Deep Creek Art and Wine Festival, which is the weekend of September 9th. And I know that because it's always Russ's birthday. We are a sponsor of that event, and then you will see us there on that day helping. I'm on the security team, so if you try to come and cause any trouble, you'll be dealing with me.
And I manage the registers out front.
Yeah.
She's scrappy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we always laugh because at the end of the day at the wine festival, Russ always gets hit on by women checking out with their final bottles of wine. So if you want to check out the cute guy in the store, come to the wine festival and you'll see him there, and you'll probably see some ladies hitting on him. But we always have a good laugh over that.
Well, after this, you might have people like trying to build their own IT systems coming to you too.
There you go.
To see you at the wine fest.
So those are two events that are coming up. Oh, a third that's coming up that's very important to me is the More Than Houses charity auction for Garrett County Habitat for Humanity. I was recently invited to be a board member for Habitat for Humanity, and I'm thrilled. I love that board so much. They're all so very active, and we've been averaging, but Garrett County Habitat for Humanity has been averaging 2 home builds a year. Our More Than Houses charity auction is really important for us because it helps us fulfill the deficit on each home build, which is typically about $30,000 per home that we have to fill that gap. So I've been reaching out to all of my clients and friends for donation items and sponsorship opportunities so that we can make that event as profitable as possible. And I think it's important for me to mention to anyone who's listening that the important thing about Habitat for Humanity is we are not giving away free houses. We are opening up a pathway to home ownership for families that would otherwise not be able to have access to. So these families get their loan through Habitat for Humanity, and it is a 0% interest loan, which is amazing. And we also have a family services committee, and so we really help them through the process, and we're very involved in their financial stability and well-being, and it's just such a phenomenal organization, and I'm so honored to be a part of it. So I would say those are our three
big ones.
3 big ones
right now
that we're involved in right now. Yeah.
Now, I understand with Camp Caring specifically, in addition to serving on the board and helping them with their events, you also have been providing some office space and hours in your own office there at Solnet, haven't you?
Okay, so Camp Caring kind of started back in November when Melissa from Appalachian Crossroads brought Kaylin in to discuss a job opportunity with Solnet. And Kaylin told us about Camp Caring, how she had been running it through the Board of Education for the previous 4 or 5 years. And
then we saw an opportunity there.
Yeah, she just really had such a passion for it.
Yeah.
And Russ and I being kind of the entrepreneurs that we are.
Well, we love when we see people
with a passion,
starting with an entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
And we saw that she's such a go-getter.
Yeah, and we were like, Kaylin, you don't want to work for us. You want to work for yourself. So rather than coming in here every week and working for us, why don't you come in every week and work with us? And we will help you develop this idea into Camp Caring being a nonprofit that you are the executive director of and have full control over with the board.
She really flourished on it. I mean, she
loved
took
the idea,
off. Yeah.
and
That's
that's really
fantastic.
how that started. So So yeah, I mean, it turned from wanting a job to no, you create your own situation.
And seeing that like exciting look in her, like when she did that, was all. I mean, that's just what we love when we see people get excited about that and want to do their own thing and like see that pop. Like that works for us.
All right, guys. Well, I really appreciate you sharing that. I mean, it's good to know how our businesses are involved in the community. You guys offer a fantastic service right here, locally and regionally. And of course, seeing how you guys tie in to supporting the community is an important piece too. All right. Well, folks, I think we've had a great show. What do you think?
What do we think? Well, this is not my first rodeo. Connor failed to mention that I have been a radio host on
right.
Sirius XM.
Okay, so we got another radio person in the room. Let's hear a little bit about it.
She's famous.
Yeah, so I only had a 1 hour show one time, but
1 hour on Sirius XM is huge.
It's pretty cool.
It's huge.
But I'm a huge Dave Matthews fanatic, and I did get an hour of airtime hosting a Dave Matthews
What would you play?
playlist and talking through it. A lot of my local friends, listened to it and heard it. But,
Only Dave fans. Only Dave fans.
So if you've been listening to this podcast and wondering why I'm so good at it, that's why. I just wanted to provide that information.
She's a natural.
In case they recognized you.
Yeah.
In case they recognize
like,
my
I know
voice.
this. I know this voice.
Yeah.
Yes.
But actually, the funny thing is, Russ always gets comments on the fact that he has a radio voice.
He does.
And I often get comments, mostly from our daughters, that I have a horribly annoying voice.
Wow.
So, yeah, so Russ is really the radio voice, and mine is not so radio
I'm
friendly.
gonna have to start my own podcast.
So I apologize to everyone for listening to me if you've been listening this long.
Well, if you start a podcast, invite me on. Let's talk.
I'll interview you next.
Okay, good. Actually, first guest, probably last guest.
Yeah.
We do need a Connor interview, though.
I think so.
I want to do it.
You know, yes. We need a full-on interview. I had a little fun on the Not Salty podcast.
Yeah.
It was a little bit.
And
I
you
heard
gave us a shout
That was
out
fun.
on that,
I heard that. That was fun.
Which was really sweet of you.
Yes. No, they run a fantastic podcast. You know, I've been in this professionally for years, and they call themselves amateur. There's nothing amateur about what they do. It
sounded great.
It's just it's fantastic. Their production, their studio, you know, their marketing behind it. They really put a lot of time and thought into it, and they keep it going. You know, they've connected with the guests. I just think they've done a phenomenal job. So yeah, shout out to my friends at the Not Salty podcast. I'll come back anytime. We'll get you guys on there too.
Sounds good.
And yes, if you want to interview me on your own podcast, I can't wait for a Solnet podcast.
No, I think
That'd
we
be
should have a
fun.
Business B.E.A.R podcast of you.
Oh, with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's think about that.
That'll be fun. I don't know what I'll talk about, but
Turn the tables.
lots of
yeah,
stories.
Turn the tables.
we'll make it fun. Okay, well, guys, usually at the end of every program, I kind of open it up so that you guys can maybe rehash anything, reiterate anything. If you want to make any announcements, I kind of leave this as your time. Is there anything you would like the people to know?
Well, I would just say check out our website, solnetweb.com, or give us a call if you need any help with your marketing, if your business is starting to slow down. Or
Even if you want to bounce some ideas around, stop in. We love brainstorming with people, especially local businesses that might be struggling with one aspect or another. Just swing on by and kind of we'll brainstorm with you.
Yeah.
I mean, even if we don't end up working with you, we love brainstorming with local businesses to get them on track or give them ideas and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
like
some
I
of
said
it
earlier,
turns into
making
work and some doesn't.
connections, so we can always point you in the right direction to our clients who can also help. We've got a good network going of really awesome, helpful people. So yeah, don't struggle. Come see us if you want to increase your business. DeepCreekWeb.com. Check us out.
301-288-1974.
All right,
There's
folks.
that radio voice.
There it is. Like, we're going to have him co-host, I think.
Yeah.
You know, come on a few episodes.
I'll do commercials for you.
There you go. All right. Deal.
We appreciate having you along, folks, and thank you so much for listening to the Business B.E.A.R podcast. Be following our Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter at Garrett County, Maryland Business Development for all the latest news on future podcast episodes and everything business related in our community. It's It's Connor Norman here signing off, and I'll see you all on the other side.